y'all. Welcome to Pump Up the Jam, where we bring you the latest and greatest on American Riviera Orchard and beyond. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry. I am Kinsey Schofield here in LA. Alongside me is Cristo.
In London. Yes, hello. Hello, Kinsey. Hello, Pump Up the Jam. How are you all? There's really one big story in town today, and that is the Meghan and Harry interview. They have spoken, Kinsey. We have heard from them. Oh, hurrah! You know how we love it when they speak and they impart their words of wisdom on us, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I thought it was interesting because all the headlines said their first big sit down since Oprah Winfrey, and I was like, what about that 6 hours of Netflix? Was that not was that not the exact same thing?
Yeah, but
Like, let's not
was them
pretend that we don't get plenty of this.
That was them just sort of speaking to the camera about anything they wanted to say. No one was actually asking them questions, which was sort of challenging, which was, quite similar to this interview, because they weren't really asked that many challenging questions. So firstly, what did you think of it?
I thought that it was I thought it lacked self-awareness. You know, if we're being honest, they should have focused on the families that have actually lost children to suicide. I mean, they have a collection of parents that lost their babies that go to bed every night with empty bedrooms, and they can't hug their children goodnight and kiss their children goodnight. That should have been the focus of this piece, not 2019, something that happened in 2019 with Meghan, who today lives an incredibly blessed life. She's incredibly lucky, and goes to sleep with her babies, is wildly loved by her husband, and has a great life. And so I just thought this seems off to have Meghan talking about an incident from 2019 when the focus should be on the parents that have lost their children, and those children's stories, and why those children were important, and what the world is missing out on after losing them.
I mean, we should tell people, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, the reason for the interview, they gave an interview to, I think it was a CBS morning show, wasn't it? The Parents
CBS this morning.
Network. This is something that they've launched with their Archwell site, and it's a network of for parents and containing parents in order to counter online harms. So it's all about the dangers of social media, the dangers of different information or false information that people can find online, and how that has affected parents and young people. And you're quite right, some of the parents that they featured in both this interview and on this site are parents that have lost their children due to suicide, due to the fact that they've seen things online. It also contains stories of children and young people that have had eating disorders, that have had various other terrible things happen to them as a result of being online, specifically social media. Bullying being another massive part of that. And I think that what you're referencing is, of course, the interviewer asking Meghan about suicide and her suicidal thoughts, and how she can relate to younger people that might have had them themselves, and whether she feels that she's got some empathy. But of course, the danger with that, as you rightly allude to, is it kind of makes it all about Meghan rather than the young people who've actually lost their lives.
Yeah, and Meghan was in a position to say, I want to keep the focus on these families, these children. They're so important to us, and we're here to elevate their voices. But instead, she says, wow, I haven't even scratched the surface, or whatever, which alludes to the fact that there's more to tell, which now everybody starts pulling Oprah Winfrey articles out. And then the fact checkers come flying in, and the fact checkers were like, actually, technically, Meghan, in March of 2019, the royal family all of a sudden launched social media guidelines for how you could interact with members of the royal family on social media to protect specifically Meghan Markle. And yeah, I don't think that they think everything through. I don't think that they are aware of the consequences to some of their actions. It would have been okay for Meghan to say, I'd like to focus on the victims here, and I'd like to focus on the innocent.
Yeah.
This isn't my time to shine.
I think you're absolutely right. What she should have said was, of course, my experiences have been well documented, but I want to talk about what other people have gone through and the experiences that they are going through. Allude to it, but then move on, because I thought that you mentioned this and it's very pertinent. Um, I never really scraped the surface on my experience, but I do think that I would never want someone else to feel that way. Is that a veiled threat? Like, I never
Yeah.
scratched the surface on my experience. So what? Is there more that you're going to tell us? I thought that was a really odd way of putting it.
Yeah, no, I felt that way too, and it wasn't helpful towards the cause. It wasn't helpful towards the ultimate objective. I mean, the at the end of the day, I think that mental health is incredibly important. Children's mental health is absolutely something that we need to pay more attention to with the internet existing now and with the way people are communicating. People just, you know, they're much crueler today than I think they were 20 years ago, hiding behind a keyboard. I just don't know that Harry and Meghan are the right people to lead the charge. Uh, I specifically, Chrissy Teigen is one of Meghan Markle's friends, one of the famous 50 that received a jar of jam. They have communicated through the media over the years. She was also a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal. I mean, Chrissy Teigen told a 16-year-old girl on Twitter to go kill herself. And how can Meghan Markle associate with somebody like that, but want to be a leader in this arena?
I mean,
It just
let's not
doesn't make
also
sense.
forget that the Sussex Squad, as they call themselves, some of them have the worst possible examples of online hatred. The way in which they they do it to you, Kinsey. I've seen you get the most horrific abuse online from people who are claiming to be Meghan and Harry fans, claiming to be members of the Sussex Squad. And look, I know you can take critique of your opinion, but it goes way beyond that. It's online hatred that you have to put up with simply for critiquing what Meghan and Harry are up to. It's completely and utterly wrong. And again, so I think it does undermine their position when it comes to this, because they didn't reference that. They didn't say, look, I know we've got some people. They must be aware that some of the fans of them, some of the people who follow them, some of the people that love them are pretty awful online. They didn't reference that. They didn't say, we're aware that some of the people that love us, we really would love you to stop doing that, by the way, because being online and being hateful is really awful. Not a word of that in the slightest.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping up with their actions versus their words. But this is a very sensitive topic, and I do think it's important. I mean, so important that it really bothers me that they would try to position themselves as experts on this. Prince Harry, what makes you an authority on mental health when in March of 2021, you told Oprah Winfrey that you were at a loss when Meghan approached you about what to do about her mental health? You didn't know what to do, despite the fact that you were a patron of multiple mental health charities. What's happened since then? Do you have a master's degree in psychology? Like what has happened since then that now makes you an expert on this topic?
Yeah. What you do is you pick up the phone and you find a therapist, or you find someone immediately that can help your wife. That's what you do. You don't need to be an expert in mental health to realise that that's what you've got to do. But apparently he
Well,
didn't know
yeah,
that at
and
the
at the
time.
end of the day, she's at the end of the day, she's here. She loves her new life. She's living where she's always wanted to live, among celebrities, among Oprah, among Tyler Perry. I mean, these are her neighbors. These are the people that pick up the phone when she calls. She has the life of her dreams. So I don't want to hear about, I don't want to, like, let's focus on the victims here. And if that's the route they want to go, I think that people would be more apt to listen if they were hearing the stories of the actual families that were affected by this.
And let's talk about the victims as well, because let's not forget as well, many fans of Meghan and Harry, one of whom actually appeared in their documentary on Netflix, did the most horrific bullying of Princess Catherine online as well.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to give him oxygen, but
No,
there is an
and I'm
entire
not naming. You're right.
there's an entire folder in that's probably in a vault in Kensington Palace with stories of Meghan Markle bullying her staff. I mean, it's all a joke.
Yes,
That
yes,
this the
100%.
palace could blow up their entire agenda by saying, you know what? Here's the report. Here's a list of every time Meghan made somebody cry at their desk within Kensington Palace. Here's every time Meghan Markle woke somebody up at 3:30 in the morning, demanding something get done before dawn. I mean, that report exists, and the only reason the palace hasn't released it is because they don't want any more animosity and they don't want any more drama from these two. And despite the palace waving the white flag, Harry and Meghan continue to poke the bear. I mean, this is Harry and Meghan poking the bear.
So we've got the bullying of the person in the documentary. You're right. Let's not name that person. We've got the bullying of her staff that was alleged to have happened. Multiple staff members that said that, by the way. We've also got, as well, let's not forget, what could be seen as a form of bullying or certainly an invasion of privacy is the constant accusations towards the family of racism and the nonsense in the book that was revealing everything about them, family members.
Not just his book, but also Endgame. And we know Omid Scobie's got really great sources.
Yeah, them.
They rhyme with Schmary and Smegan.
And so it does. You're right. All of that undermines them now telling us, even though they did it in the sort of really nice way, all of it undermines them telling us that we should now listen to them when it comes to being kind online, being kind in the public domain. It is just absolute nonsense, really, and it is the wrong cause for them to go down. It really is. I mean, do you give them any credit, Kinsey? Do you give them any credit for at least trying and at least trying to use some of their own experiences that they claim that they've had to try and shine a light on this?
I think that there is real loss, so much devastation when it comes to these families that are utilizing this platform to strengthen themselves, to wake up every day, and live it. I mean, it's hard to wake up and want to live after losing anybody, whether it's your uncle or your brother or whatever, your child. I mean, loss is loss. And Harry and Meghan have spent a significant amount of time cutting people out of their lives. So they're listening to people that are talking about the loss of close family members, knowing that their family members that they refuse to talk to are only a phone call away. And I think that that's very bizarre behavior. Thomas Markle is ill. Yeah. Pick up the phone and call your dad. King Charles is ill. Pick up the phone and call your dad. Even if he doesn't answer, according to the Daily Beast and People Magazine, pick up the phone and call your dad. I just don't think that these people are in a position to discuss that kind of loss.
It's outrageous hypocrisy, and it just absolutely it can stick in your craw, really, when you think of the way in which they have treated their family and they have treated their staff. It's just unbelievable. And you're right, the way they're treating Thomas Markle by literally freezing this poor man out. And the other interesting aspect about this, before we get on to other reaction to this, have you looked at the Archewell page, which actually features this parents network? Because it's interesting that actually all of the content has been, in their words, and they did actually write this, repurposed by the Social Media Victims Law Centre. So there is a guide to Instagram, there is a guide to all these other social media sites. There are all these stories basically that have been cut and pasted from the Social Media Victims Law Centre website, where it is actually, they go into it in a far more comprehensive way. So it's not like they've sat down and done all the work themselves or got loads of their team to do all of this work, other than cut and pasting, which I suppose is quite difficult.
I don't even have, I think the actual forum is something to be admired. And I don't have an issue with them going to an actual authority on this and creating their content based on somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about, because I don't think either one of these people do. And judging by the revolving door of Archwell employees, whether it be audio, whether it be production or charity, they see a lot of people move in and out of the Archwell umbrella. I don't mind them going to somebody that actually knows what they're talking about and creating, crafting th this platform based on people that are smarter than they are. I think that that's a much better way to go than them sitting around trying to create, like Prince Harry and the Aspen Institute, trying to create their own rules.
All right. Well,
I
fair
do
play. I
think
mean,
at the end of the day
that's fair play. Fair
the
comment.
forum is a blessing, and I'm hoping that despite Harry and Meghan, these people can find, you know, soulmates within their grief, and that will help these people navigate the rest of their lives. And I don't really have an issue with the forum at all. It's Harry and Meghan wanting to be the face of everything that is frustrating to me.
It might have been nice if they'd referenced some of the sources in the interview that they gave that they had got all of this information from. But fair play. I take your point that actually at least they're going to credible sources to get the advice that is needed, even if they did cut and paste it. But you're right, they're busy making jam. They are busy. They've got things they're doing. They've got things to do. Now, let's talk some of the reaction to this interview. Oh, by the way, the other thing, just before we do that, actually, there is one other quote that I just wanted to reference with you, and that is, they said that they're very worried that Archie will go down a rabbit hole online as well when they're...
Yeah, he's going to find out who his grandpa is. He's going to be like, oh, who's this Thomas Markle guy?
Exactly.
That's a rabbit hole.
Oh, well, I'm related to some royalty. What, there's a king who's
Wow,
my grandfather?
My Aunt Samantha Markle looks a lot like my mother, yet my mother says she was a single child. This is shocking. Yes, there's quite the rabbit hole they can go down.
United what? Kingdom? What's this place? I've never heard of it. They've never referenced it. Who are these people? What's going on? So yeah, I think that's the rabbit hole they're probably worried about him going down. Okay, so reaction to this interview from other royal commentators. Richard Fitzwilliams made a really interesting point, because obviously footage for their interview and clips of it as well were played of the Oprah interview. So whilst they were giving this interview, they referenced the Oprah interview, they used clips of the Oprah interview, and he said using these clips shows that there are absolutely...
Yeah, but they didn't do that. I understand, but Harry and Meghan did not give them permission to do that. That was, you and I are both producers as well. You know that a producer did that. So we're not going to, I'm not going to criticize them for CBS using video of the Oprah Winfrey interview.
Could they not have said we don't want it used?
A producer at CBS decided to do that.
Could they not have said we don't want it used? We don't want the Oprah interview reference. We don't want any of that used. You know what they are like at setting parameters.
They had the ability to do. I mean, the bigger argument there is that Harry continues to cater to CBS, Oprah Winfrey, Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes, James Corden's late night show, Stephen Colbert, and now Jane Pauley. And CBS is the only outlet that showed video of his mother slowly dying in the back seat of the car in Paris. That is my argument. Harry, why don't you want to talk about violating privacy constantly? I highly doubt your mother gave consent while she was slowly dying in the backseat of a car in Paris. And it seems to be CBS is his go-to outlet. Why? Because Meghan is friends with Oprah and Gayle King. I think that's the biggest travesty.
That is just repellent, isn't it? So they'll give interviews to CBS even though they showed that absolutely awful footage, and they'll also work for Netflix, who reenacted that very car crash and the like for the Crown. They really do have such high morals, don't they? They really, really do. Okay, the Express Royal Reporter, Daily Express Royal Reporter here in the UK, said that their critics should admit, this is Lauren Welch, said, and she's written some scathing pieces about them as well, but she said actually their critics need to admit that doing this is the right call. It's the right thing for them to do. This is a good thing that they are doing. Do you think that by dissecting it in the way us and other commentators have, are we not giving them enough credit?
I mean, I say in every interview I've done about this that this is an incredible cause, that I just don't think that they're the right vehicle for it. So I disagree with that. I think that we should have more conversations about children and social media, and because of this, we probably are. So at the end of the day, uh, I'm hoping that they feel like they did something right, but it does open Harry and Meghan up to criticism because of how um, obnoxiously hypocritical they continue to be. But there is at the end at if the end game is for us to have more conversations about children's access to social media and how it negatively affects them as they grow up. You know, Kate's early years project probably has plenty of actual tangible paperwork, research, and information on how it negatively affects children being on a tablet and having access to these games where you're playing with people all over the world too early. I think that it is an important message, but we have most of us have continued to say that throughout discussing this. A very important initiative. Are Harry and Meghan the right people to be the face of it? Probably not.
Well,
Again, I mean, I feel like I hate the term "stay in your lane," but I feel like Harry can do so much more for veterans. Meghan grew up in Los Angeles. We have a horrible homeless crisis here. Why work with homeless vets? I mean, that you already have, you're already an authority figure in that arena. I just don't. There's too much criticism that can be made when it comes to bullying and Harry and Meghan.
yeah, it seems like the odd cause when you're right. Your hands have to be clean when you enter into something like this. You have to have clean hands, and it does seem absolutely bizarre that when online bullying is such a major part of this initiative, and you're right, it is a really good initiative. The rabbit hole that children can go down online and young people, the influences when it comes to eating disorders and all these sorts of things, they need to be discussed. But your hands need to be clean, and when bullying is such a massive part of this, having been accused of such bullying and having carried out such bullying themselves, when it comes to like their various when it comes to things like their books and things like that, they are not the right people to do this. Just one final word on this. She did look good. I'm sorry. The Ralph Lauren cord and the £13,000 Cartier necklace. Again, perhaps not the right tone or choice when you're talking about young people that have died. I mean, I'm not sure that going for, you know, 13, 14,000 pounds worth of clothing is quite the right tone, but she did look good.
I wonder if she sleeps in that necklace because she's constantly in that necklace. Yeah, I think that I'm never going to see Meghan in a beige outfit without mentioning the fact that she accused the royal family of not allowing her to wear colors while she was a member of the royal family. I think that that's an important statement to make because that comment when we were watching the docuseries, and she's like, I never could wear colors, you know, complaining about how she had to lower her, you know, dampen her light when she was a member of the royal family because everyone else was wearing colors. I thought, what a petty and unnecessary complaint. This makes you look so small and so sensitive. And now every time I see her, she's wearing white or nude
She loves
or
a nude
beige.
shoe. She does love a nude shoe,
And,
doesn't she?
and I'm just like, what were you even talking about? Why did you open your mouth and even say that if you're never going to wear colors anyway?
And I remember one of the most famous photos in the royal family was when she was wearing that green outfit, the beautiful.
Yeah, but that was her last event. They called that her revenge outfit at the time.
Okay, have we got time just to quickly talk about Colombia?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Harry and Meghan choosing to visit one of the world's most dangerous countries. I mean, do you know what we should call this show? We should just call this Pump Up the Hypocrisy. Because every single time it's hypocrisy. Because, of course, they're very security conscious. They say that they can't go anywhere. Last week we were analysing the fact that Prince Harry said that he can't bring Meghan to the UK because of such security concerns. Colombia is apparently okay.
It is just another example of, I think, Prince Harry What I think it says is that Prince Harry is overdoing it on his UK dramatics about security in the UK, because you can't tell me that Colombia or Nigeria are safer for your wife than the UK. If Prince Harry abides by the guidelines that have been set out for him in the UK, giving them that 28-day notice, giving them a full itinerary of what his plans are, there is an option that he will get the type of security that he wants. And I imagine that if he's there with his wife, those odds would increase for him. Harry is just so stubborn and doesn't want anybody to know his itinerary, is so paranoid. He doesn't want anybody else to know his itinerary. He's afraid somebody will say, oh, Harry plans on going to the zoo on Tuesday, like anybody cares. But I think that it just proves that a lot of what's going on with the UK and the millions that are being spent are for theatrics. And the reality is he's much safer in the UK than in either one of those countries.
Well, the US has rated Colombia as a level 3 security risk. So it is absolutely ridiculous that they would go there, especially the optics. I mean, sometimes I just do think, I mean, maybe it's Harry, and I've said this before, he's not the sharpest tool in the box. Would you not think, while you were having a major disagreement with the British authorities and security services about safety, that maybe a visit to Colombia during that time might just somewhat invalidate your point? I mean, he's not bright, is he? He can't be. Or do they just not know? Or do you think they're just clueless? I don't know.
I honestly think that these two were, I think they still have burns over, I mean, like burns all over their body over the chilly reception that they received in Hollywood. You know, there was a while where you could not turn on a major award show, and I'm not talking the ESPYs, which no one had heard about until they gave Prince Harry a plastic trophy, but the Grammy Awards, the Emmy Awards, that the comedians that were hosting would take a swipe at Harry and Meghan, and I imagine that if Harry and Meghan keep pushing through with their Hollywood content, that criticism will continue. We saw the Emmys host joke that Harry and Meghan can do nothing and get a paycheck from Netflix, and joked about them getting fired from Spotify. Trevor Noah joking about Harry's Todger at the Grammys. The entire South Park episode that everybody loved. I think the Del Taco joke in Family Guy, I think it was. I can't remember actually what show it was, but I think that Harry and Meghan are so desperate to be taken seriously that they will go wherever they have to go in the world. Anybody that will give them this platform, because they need the glossy photos, they need the highly produced video. They are desperate for the world to take them seriously as thought leaders, but they've made too many mistakes along the way. They spent literally 3 years complaining about being a prince and a princess. Harry mentions his penis 15 times at least in Spare. I mean, they've made too many mistakes along the way to reroute and now be like, and guess what? We all want you to listen to us and take us seriously. You've become a joke.
Do you think, I think they're just trolling us. I think they're trolling us. They're literally like,
They're
we're
desperate.
so worried about.
They're not even, they don't even, they have no sense of humor. You know, you've seen them. They have literally no sense of humor.
Can I just call into question just one final thing? I mean, you said Todger, you said penis when it comes to Harry. Can I just tell you, a couple of weeks ago, when I was going away, I had to walk past the 8-hour cream from Elizabeth Arden in the duty free, and I was like, and their lip balm is lovely, and I picked it up and I thought, I can't do the smell again. I can't smell.
I can feel Princess Diana behind me.
If you don't know this and you haven't seen us reference this before, this is the part from Harry's book Spare where he was applying Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream to his penis after it had frostbite, and he said that he felt that his mother was with him because that was what she used to use as lip balm. I've never been able to use 8-hour cream since, Kinsey.
Well, you did.
Well, yeah, on one of our podcasts, I applied it to myself in the same place. I had to get a wet wipe very quickly. Maybe one day, maybe for our Christmas special, I'll reenact that again.
But I just think that they're definitely desperate to be taken seriously, and they'll go wherever they have to go if somebody will allow them to pretend. And how sad.
Yeah, very, very sad indeed. Well, we will continue to keep an eye on what they are up to over the course of the next week. That's it. That's all we've got time for. Now, what do people need to do by clicking below?
Make sure you subscribe, like this video, share with a friend, and let us know if you agree or disagree in the comments below.
Yes, wonderful. Nice to see you. See you next time.
Bye, guys.